This isn't ideal. I have a fracture on... At the time of filming, the Chicago Marathon is in 9 days' time, and I will not be on the start line. And for anyone that's new here, I'm a professional marathon runner, and I've been training for the Chicago Marathon for the last 12 weeks. And I'm probably not gonna be running for about 12 weeks. And it's also really windy. And I think if I stay out here, the audio is not gonna be very good, so now I need to get inside. That's gonna be fun. I was using this to prop the camera up, and I can only carry one thing on my crutch at a time, so I'll come back to the camera. Alright, we're back in business. Where shall I start? Let's start at the beginning. This training block got off to a bit of a rocky start. I got COVID when we flew out here, and then a few days after recovering, got back into training for a week and a bit, and then I took a really nasty tumble on a trail, which you may have seen. I shared an update video after that because I couldn't run for a few days. It was pretty worrying. I hit the ground pretty hard when I fell on those rocks. Important to note, we'll be coming back to that later. Took a while to find my feet again. My knee hurt a little bit for a couple of weeks, but I saw a physio and it was confirmed that I kind of had a bit of a bruise on the bone, but nothing structurally damaged. It should heal on its own, should ease off, which it did. After about 2 weeks, didn't have any bother from my knee. Raced a pretty under average performance at the Falmouth Road Race. Probably still struggling a little bit from coming back from COVID and the interruption from the fall. We put it behind us. I then had probably the most solid 6-7 weeks of marathon training that I have ever been able to put together. Nothing hurt. I pretty much didn't have a bad day. Every workout, every session was kind of B-, B+, or better. It was either average or really good. The consistency, the recovery I was getting in, how good I felt, the volume, the best I've ever done. 6.5 weeks of 100 to 122 miles. And I was in really good shape going into the taper. And then last week, in week 1 of the taper, on Wednesday, completely out of the blue, in the last 3 miles of my run, my knee started hurting a little bit, which was really odd because I haven't had a peep out of my knee in weeks. Same knee that I fell on. Later on that day, I was doing some exercises in the gym that I do every time I go to the gym on a Wednesday and a Saturday throughout this block. I'm down on one knee and I'm doing wood chops. Normally no issues at all. One of my favorite exercises. Kneeling on my right knee, it was painful. Kind of felt like a bit of a bruise. Nothing major, 1 to 2 out of 10 of pain, but it was there. And to be honest, I just thought, we're in the taper, one of those phantom pains has come up, or something's come up that's gonna go away as quickly as it's surfaced. Because in my experience, that's what's happened in the taper. The next day I had my last uphill tempo. If you've seen the last video that I put up, I spoke about having 3 workouts in a week. So this week was one of those weeks. I had double threshold on the Tuesday, uphill tempo on the Thursday, and then on the Friday, I was due to have 2 to 3 mile reps. Thursday, I do my warm up, and I still feel this knee pain. It's a 1 to 2 out of 10 of pain. That tells me I can do drills and strides, and this doesn't hurt and it's not feeling bad. I'm fine. It felt good after warming up, so I did the uphill tempo. No pain at all, probably because I was running uphill. We drive down the hill, and I start my cool down. My knee hurts. It's more of a 5 to 6 out of 10 of pain, and it's getting worse. I am compensating and trying to not bend my leg as much when I'm towing off. We need to stop this cool down. I stopped the cool down slightly early, and I got on the phone to my physio from back home. I spoke to Chris and said, this isn't something I've experienced before. The pain is similar to what I experienced when I had the fall, but the pattern of the pain is different. When the knee was sore for a couple of weeks after the fall, on and off, as I warmed up and as I got into the session, it would get better. I wouldn't feel it in the cool down. I would feel it again maybe later on in the day, but warming up the joint and getting things moving would help it. This was the opposite. He did a few little tests, asked me to move in certain ways, and by the end of the call said, I'm pretty confident that this is patellofemoral pain you're experiencing. That's kind of a fancy word for runner's knee and pain in the knee joint. I've never had knee problems before, and so Googling runner's knee and seeing kind of exercises and extended rest periods for people that have a chronic knee problem, I've never had an issue with my knee. So it was a little bit strange to hear that that's what it potentially could be. The advice was to rest and offload it for a couple of days until the inflammation's gone down, take some anti-inflammatories, ice it, foam roll my quads, get some massage done to make sure that anything that's around the patellofemoral region isn't kind of contributing to the pain in the joint. But my physio wasn't worried. This should respond pretty well to treatment. It will settle down, just let that inflammation go down and we'll be good. So I didn't double on Thursday, didn't do my workout on Friday, didn't run on Saturday, didn't long run Sunday. I rested, iced, took anti-inflammatories, foam rolled, got massage, got treatment, just did everything I could basically. At the end of Thursday, my knee was pretty swollen and I wasn't able to walk properly. So panic stations had started. However, by Sunday, I was completely pain-free walking. I couldn't feel it going up and down the stairs. So I was able to go on the elliptical. That was pain-free, great sign. On Monday, I was able to see a physio in town and to get an assessment on it, and he corroborated what my physio had said from back home. It's giving classic patellofemoral joint inflammation, but it doesn't look inflamed right now. You've let it settle down, you've rested, you've done all the right things, it's moving pretty well and it's not painful. I think you have the green light to try a run. And I'd wanted to run all weekend, right? But Chris had told me that any inflammation in there, any fluid that gets in the joint, it's gonna be pissed off. If in doubt, leave it for an extra day before you run on it. So getting the green light to run on Monday was great. The advice was to go on the treadmill for 15 minutes at 3% incline to help offload the knee, and that was pain-free. So I thought, great, we're probably out of the woods here. I'll do 30 minutes tomorrow, 45 the next day, an hour after that, I'll be back into workouts. This little flare-up can settle down. But unfortunately on Tuesday, when I tried to run for 20 minutes, I only got 10 minutes pain-free before it started hurting. My calf tightened up in that second 10 minutes, and I thought that might have been because I've been on the elliptical for a couple of days back to back, and maybe I wasn't kind of holding myself very well on the elliptical and I just put a lot of pressure on my calves. Maybe that had triggered it. Foam rolled my calves, didn't go on the elliptical on Tuesday, went to run on Wednesday, and the first mile was bliss. Completely pain-free. I taped my knee up, thought that was helping. I actually started to relax and had a smile on my face and thought, oh, this is it, we've got through it. Chicago's gonna be a go. Feels really good, I feel smoother than I did yesterday, but unfortunately after about 10 minutes, the pain started to come in again and it got worse pretty quickly to the point at which I wasn't running normally by the time I got to 20 minutes and had to be honest with myself that I couldn't run. When I told Chris, my physio from back home, he said, let's get an MRI because it's weird that it's not responding to manual treatment, it's not responding to you loosening everything off, and it's not behaving in the same way that we would expect it to if it was just patellofemoral joint irritation. So I was able to book in for a same-day MRI. The physio from here expedited it for me so we could get the results the next day, and I got those results yesterday. I've never had an MRI before, so it was a new experience for me, as was logging onto the portal to see my results before they'd been sent to my physician, which allowed me to read through the report and to know instantly that it's not good news. I sent the report to Chris and asked him to call me to just give it to me straight and explain what we're dealing with here. I'll read you the summary of the impression. Minor non-displaced subchondral fracture, peripheral medial femoral condyle with associated reactive marrow edema. What that means is I have a fracture on the end of my femur and borderline patella alta with mild edema/impingement, superolateral Hoffer's fat pad, and overlying minor sprain and edema along the anterior aspect of the lateral retiniculum with minor grade 2 patella chondrosis, which can be associated with patella maltracking. That part basically means there's some fluid, some wearing in the patellofemoral joint, some inflammation in the fat pad of the patellofemoral joint, all of which would typically respond pretty well to manual therapy. So that side of things is along the lines of what we're expecting. We weren't expecting to find a fracture, and we think that the swelling and the pain is because of the bone injury, and probably all the patellofemoral stuff is a reaction to the fracture. I am waiting to speak to the sports doctor in the UK to find out exactly what the next steps and the recovery look like. I did ask my physio for his advice on this, and he kind of wanted to refrain from commenting because if it were a stress fracture in my tibia or my femur or just a typical overuse stress fracture injury from overtraining, underfueling, just being unlucky, it's pretty textbook that you can just follow the number of weeks it says to offload it. Yeah, that should be enough time for it to heal. You pair that with pain management and manual therapy and you should be good to go. This is categorized as a high risk fracture because of the location of it. It is in a major weight bearing location. So anytime that I stand, walk, run, jump, use my right leg for any weight bearing activities, there is load going through that location. Hence the crutches, which I have been advised to start using immediately and completely offload weight bearing on that leg. It's a pretty unusual place to have a fracture. And the reason we think it's there is because of the fall that I took 8 weeks ago. I hit the inside of my kneecap, pretty much exactly where the fracture is, like right inside the knee there. What we think has happened is I've had the bone bruise and it's been a little worse than we expected. It's softened, the surrounding structures have reacted, and really my body has been incredibly strong to support the injury site to be pain-free for 6.5 weeks of really legit marathon training with no pain after this settled down. And it was okay, and it was okay, and it was okay. And I probably, without knowing, kind of adapted how I was running to take stress off of it and put stress on other areas. And it was okay until it wasn't okay. And that's what happened when it started hurting last week. So yeah, no walking, definitely no running, complete rest, and I don't know how long that's going to be for. On the one hand, I have the kind of upset and frustration that I don't get to do this race that I worked my little socks off for, and I believe I was in really good shape to perform well at and to post a really strong performance. I was excited to do that. I've been really enjoying the training. I already just miss getting out the door and putting the work in towards that goal. On the other hand, I have the unknown and the uncertainty of how long this disappointment is gonna impact my life. Running is not only my job as a pro runner, but as you guys know, creating content about running and coaching runners are the other sides to my job, which are gonna be impacted by this and impacted by how this impacts my mental state, which is a whole other thing. I don't even know what that looks like because I've never taken 12 weeks off of running before. So I'm very grateful that my body has been strong enough and that I've put the work in that has meant I haven't had any of those breakdown injuries that have sidelined me for this long. But I'm quite scared as to, what the next few months hold, because outside of performance and outside of wanting to be fit and fast and my goals to run this race and that move me forward and to get to the Olympics, I just love running. And that is such a simple statement, but it's so layered and it's such a big part of my life. I've realized in the last few days how much I take for granted the fact that I can just get up, walk downstairs, have my breakfast, and then within an hour, I'm warming up and getting out the door to run. It puts me in a great mood, makes me a better person, it helps regulate my ADHD, it is a huge part of my identity. And it's gonna be a process to face that head on for the next few weeks and months and sit in the unknown. So I really don't know what the content is gonna look like. We are gonna figure that out, but you best believe I'm gonna share with you the journey. I feel like a lot of athletes, when they are faced with a serious injury, decide to go offline and deal with it in private, and that is so fair enough. That is exactly what I want to do right now, in the sense of I just want to hide away and for this to go away and to not see anyone until this is fine. But on the other side of that coin, I know that we all get injured at some point if we're runners. We all face challenges and unexpected bumps in the road, whatever we're striving towards. And if I can share the honest, stripped back reality of that, celebrating the small wins, but also showing you the days that it feels like 2 steps forwards and 1 step back as well, that might help someone. And I don't want anyone to feel like it's plain sailing and easy riding for us pros and we don't go through the shitter as well. 'Cause we do. Selfishly, I want to look back on this myself and it's gonna be a different way of learning how strong and how tough I can be. So stick around if you want to see that. If you would like to support me in this recovery arc, I will be sharing weekly updates on Patreon, as always, to share my progress, and those will be a little bit more detailed, a little bit more stripped back. And the minute I can do some movement, whether it's swimming, oh, I hate swimming so much, cycling, any form of cross training, getting jacked, doing pull-ups, you'll be the first to see it. It might not be pretty, it might not always be ugly, but I'm sure it's going to be a spectrum of everything in between. I'm sorry that this isn't the update that I wanted it to be, and we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to prove the fitness that I built in this block. I'm going to have to lose it all and then build it all back up again, but I'll do it. Thanks for watching, and like I always say, love the grind. I should write that on my crutches. Someone get me a Sharpie.